Good afternoon. We are joined here today by new athletic director and men's basketball head coach Walter Parham. Walter, thank you for joining us today.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.
Hey, welcome to the Inland Empire Athletic Conference. Tell us, do I address you first as AD or coach? I'm kind of in between.
What I tell people is usually where I'm at in the facility. If I'm in practice, I guess I'm coach. If I'm out of the gym, I guess I'm the AD. So either's fine, depending on I guess what question you got.
All right. Well, let's start. Let's start off as the AD. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us your background, where you came from. Originally, I believe you're from Nevada. But no, Detroit, Michigan, and
Yep.
then Nevada, and then tell us the process and how you ended up at CMC.
Wow. So look, it's a crazy story, man. I tell people all the time I'm not really a traditional basketball guy. Um, I was born in Detroit, stayed there for a couple years. My family moved to the LA area. I went to three different elementary schools, three different junior highs, three different high schools. Um, and I kind of stumbled into the basketball world.
Uh-huh.
I took a trip down to Imperial Valley with a friend. They had nine guys that were able to play. The coach asked me if I ever played. I played a little bit in high school. I was the 10th guy. We played a game to seven. I scored all 7 points in that game. And he asked me if I wanted to stay and play basketball. At the time, I wasn't doing anything.
Uh-huh.
So that's how I got into basketball. I ended up getting coached at Imperial Valley by Nick Gaylor the first year, who was at Miramar as the AD and coach there. And then my sophomore year, I ended up getting coached by Tyson I. Um, so his brother was here at Copper, and that's how I ended up out here at Copper Mountain as a volunteer assistant coach back
Mm-hmm.
in 2017. But as far as coaching, I've coached in six different states. I've coached high school basketball in California, Nevada, Nebraska, Arizona, and Colorado. And I tell people all the time, athletics is my second career. I did 10 years in residential treatment and corrections work,
Mm-hmm.
and was an administrator in that before I actually ended up coming to Copper. So college athletics is actually my second gig, my
Got it.
second career. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you guys recently put up a story out about the close ties with the military, particularly the Marine Corps over
Right.
there at Copper Mountain. Um, you know, uh, you recently hired Coach Bradbury, who
Mm-hmm.
yourself being a combat center liaison at 29 Palms. Tell me, why is it important for Copper Mountain to continue to having a close relationship with the armed forces?
It's embedded in this community.
Uh-huh.
The Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center, that's the base that's out here. It's the largest military base, Marine Corps base in the country. Almost every Marine has to come through here and do their training.
Mm-hmm.
So in this community, there's a lot of retirees. There's a lot of military kids. And with Coach Bradbury, he was great. He did 21 years in the Marine Corps. He was actually supposed to coach for us back in 2019, 2020.
Okay.
And he got orders that he had to leave 29 Palms and go to North Carolina. And I told him, I said, man, if you ever want to do it when you're out, you always got a home here with me.
Uh-huh.
He came back, and I mean, he's a pleasure to work with, man. He's an amazing guy. And yeah, as any coach will tell you, having good assistants is what it's about.
Sure. We are joined here today by the new athletic director and men's basketball coach, Walter Parham. You've been making a lot of moves recently, just hiring Tammy Rhodes. Tell us a little bit about her. Someone that has over 20 years of experience, bringing her in. I don't know if we should call it a rebuilding of a program, but kind of, let's say, reestablishing the program. What does she bring to the table over at Copper Mountain?
Yeah. So the cool thing with Tammy, and maybe it's a little bit of my own personality involved in it, is she works outside of the college as a counselor for sexual assaults and domestic violence, things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature, alongside her 20 years experience of doing the volleyball coaching. So she brings a perspective to the sport that I think is different. I think she connects with the kids on, the student athletes on a really high
Sure.
level. She understands kind of their struggles. The community college student athlete is different than the university or high school athlete. She gets that. And I think a big thing for us is anybody tell you in a rural area, it's hard to get kids to get out this way.
Mhm.
So her connections locally by being a coach at Yucca Valley High School, knowing some of the club things down here have been really helpful. Yeah, we're really excited. I know I'm super excited to work with her.
Mhm.
She's been a pleasure since she's been here.
Yep. Another hire you recently just announced, Tom Heck, is going to be taking over the helm for the women's basketball team. Can you give us a little bit insight about him as well?
Yeah, so people in women's basketball know Tom pretty good. He was at Saracoso for shoot, I believe 20 years. Super experienced man. He's perfect for what we're trying to do here as far as just establishing that women's basketball program and being able to understand what it's like to coach in a rural environment. I would say Saracoso is probably one of the other schools that is more rural than us. So that experience is helpful. And as a new AD, it's good to have a coach who, has been around for a while as I continue to understand my own duties.
Sure.
Having him is great. He's bringing a lot of girls in. We've already started semester. They've been practicing hard. It's good to see an experienced guy in there who knows what he's doing. I'm excited for it.
Now let's get your head coaching hat on now.
All right.
You yourself taking over the men's basketball play calling duties this season. Tremendous success last season, right? If I remember, 17-13 overall and 13-3 in the conference. What are we looking forward to this season for your team? And also on that mindset, any particular players that we need to keep an eye on that's returning, and also possibly any players that might be coming in.
Yeah. So I think this is the year of the jump, man. We don't run from expectations in our men's program. In previous years, I always say my goal is to be the best non-city program in the state, and be the best rural program in the state. I feel like we've worked towards that. I always tell people there's no program that we can't compete with, and there's no program that's established in the state that Copper Mountain hasn't beaten yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't run from that pressure. I'm excited at the opportunity to compete. The Inland Empire Conference is tough, man. There are no nights out off in the men's basketball league. And then as far as guys, returning guys, we were just talking about Coach Bradbury. We actually have his son on our team. Jalen Bradbury's returning.
Mm-hmm.
About 10 points a game for us last year. I'm expected him to be in a bigger role for us. Israel Goldsmith returns. He started 26 games for us as a freshman at center. He'll be back. Nathan Kennedy will be back, and Lydell Boyle will be back. Those are the four guys that are returning that we're excited about. And then new faces, man. We got a lot of new faces and a lot of talented new faces. Jalen Lee will be with us, 6'10", center from Las Vegas. We got a couple other guys that are coming in. Jack Garrison's an NAIA transfer. He'll be a really good player for us. And we have probably like two or three former Marines. I guess you're never a former Marine, but guys that were enlisted in the Marine Corps that are on our team. So we got some older guys who are super talented. Antonio Reverie, AJ Pearson are both former Marines. They'll be big time players for us. We got a lot of depth this year. I'm really excited.
That's amazing. I'm looking forward to doing a couple of stories on that. And as you said at the beginning of our interview here, that close community tie, what creates that sort of a buzz around your community for guys to come out, and having those two players on the team is definitely something that we're gonna have to follow up on. That is really, really cool.
Right.
Hey, Coach, recruiting head on. People, the recruiting side of it. Give us a couple of reasons why players should consider coming over to Joshua Tree, coming over to CMC, and from the things that we've heard about you and your vision of the program, which I'll ask you about after this question. Tell us why we should consider CMC.
If you want, one of the things I've noticed just from being in a lot of different states is that a lot of the community college programs in the state, they give you more of in my opinion, a high school feel of the sport. Your school is 15 minutes away from every team in your conference. That's not, in my opinion, the university look. You don't really play anybody that's just down the street from you. So I think the small town environment prepares you. The only game in town. You're on the front page of the newspaper if you have a good game, or if you have a bad game. You have to deal with the pressures of being in a small community where everybody knows you as a basketball player. One of the coolest features here academically is We're a really small school, so I want to say our ratio is 14-1. And a lot of community college guys struggle with academics here. You're going to get massive amounts of support in that area. And then being out here, most of our guys have to live and learn how to be adults already. Most of our
Sure.
guys don't stay at home. They have to learn, skills of cooking and rent an apartment, all of
Mhm.
that. It's the true grind of the experience of JUCO. And then lastly, I think we have really special people here.
Mhm.
Being in a small area with a small staff, small group of people, I think the student athletes will really understand that people care.
Mhm.
And if you come here, you'll know that we care about you. And I tell guys all the time, once they get here and they get established, like if you're having a hard day, you can look at on our roster from any of the past seasons that we've been around, and you call any guy on our roster and give them a call and ask them if the coaches here care about you.
Mhm.
They're all going to answer the same way that we do, and we want to help you. That would be the biggest reason I would say Copper Mountain is the best place for you. Is you're gonna be with people that genuinely care about your success outside of helping me win some games.
That's beautiful. No, I agree, and I think that's where you once again we've talked about it in the past, building that community of not only support on the court or on the field, but also off of that academically, what the next steps are, the matriculation part of it. Those are all important parts of
Right.
why what people should look at first when they're choosing where they're going to go for their next career, right?
Mm-hmm.
You touched on it a little bit. My last question for you here is now that you have the wheel, you have the entire athletic department under your watch. What is your goal and philosophy for the entire program?
Uh, you know, uh, I would say that question is a great question, and I think that if you talk to my wife, she'll tell you it's about for both of us. It's about getting guys and gals graduated. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's about building good young men and women of good character, um, while using the sport to develop that and establish relationships. Um, and as far as just the philosophy for the school athletic program, I would say it's I'm big on relationships. It's building quality relationships, person-centered focus on developing people to be better than they were when they got here.
Mm-hmm.
And as an athletic program, we have to understand that a lot of our guys and a lot of our women in this athletic program, everyone's finish line looks different and everybody's starting line looks different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our job and our philosophy to get them to whatever that finish line is here at CMC. And we work tirelessly every day to provide that. And that I would say is the standard. You can struggle on the court with wins and losses here. You can struggle with understanding your job duties, but the one thing that I won't accept is that you struggle with building relationships and getting to know your student athletes, because that
Mm-hmm.
is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, Coach, I think that is a perfect way to end. I am excited for you. I am excited for the program. Copper Mountain is blessed to have you guiding them to their next step, in a sense, to bringing that entire program to a whole nother level. Once again, uh, head coach slash athletic director, the man for the job, Walter Parham. I thank you for your time, and we'll keep in touch. We'll keep doing our monthly updates, and good luck at the beginning of the season here, Coach.
I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.